Telestaffing and HR, in conjunction with PatriotTV.live, bring you Play Harder Radio, the premier patriotic sports and BS talk show from America's Gulf Coast. Things that matter in the world of sports and things that don't matter to anyone. It's just Faja's opinion. Where the F-bomb is allowed, but frowned upon. This is Play Harder Radio. And now, your host, James Grant.
All right, we got a little video for you to start the show off, so give it a second here.
Amendment gives us due process. It guarantees us equal protection under the laws. So why in the world are the unvaccinated being treated differently than the vaccinated? It is the new segregation. It is the new discrimination. And we have to stop it. Government for the people, by the people, will not be destroyed. We have to recognize our power. We are magistrates. What is happening here today, what is happening around our state and in our city, is people are invoking the doctrine of the lesser magistrates. And most of you probably don't even understand what that is. And don't even understand what I'm talking about. Well, the doctrine of the lesser magistrates is the doctrine upon which this country was founded. It is the basis of the 10th Amendment, which says that any authority that is not given to the federal government is reserved to the states. And if our local leaders fail to protect its citizens and fail to step between a tyrannical federal government and its citizens, fails to protect the rights of its citizens, then those rights and authority is extended and given to the people. We, the people, is how the Constitution starts. A magistrate is a person that operates under authority. They have power. There are higher magistrates and there are lesser magistrates. The founding fathers of this country understood that there's going to come a point in time where the federal government will need to be checked. If not, they will become tyrants. And that is what's happening now. So, the Declaration of Independence says that everyone, by virtue of being a human being, has the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The federal government, too, the federal government, their purpose is to protect the rights of those citizens, the rights of us to our life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. The third point of that document is if they fail to protect its citizens and enforce those rights, the citizens have...
There we go. That was it. That's great.
What it got cut off at is the citizens have the right to revolt.
Yeah.
But it's on the closed caption, but she somehow in the video she got cut off. But listen, when you listen to something like that, welcome to Play Harder Radio on the 17th of February with Tia Robello, Todd Cooper, and yours truly. I'm going to make it the admission right now. I am toxic. I mean,
like toxic as fuck. His energy is like another level.
Listen, if you don't, I don't know why I've been single for 20 years.
I do.
No, and get a fucking girlfriend. I don't know why. Yeah. I'm glad the F-bomb is allowed because I got a satchel full of them to brought with me. Listen. If you don't get some kind of I start feeling like tears and stuff.
Yeah, it's emotional.
Emotional. If you don't, when you listen to a speech like that, if you don't get emotional,
right?
If you aren't ready to fight for what's yours and get them, then we're not on the same page.
If that doesn't affect you in some kind of way, you literally need to wake the fuck up.
Yeah, we're not on the same page. If
You're
you don't
asleep
feel
at the wheel. Right.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean...
100%.
Shit. I mean, did you hear her? Listen, we're life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is our right.
Right.
If the government does not protect that right, the power falls to we the people to protect that right.
Right. And that was like a strong, educated, badass black woman standing up for everybody, when if it was a different situation, or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And all you identity politic, division, race baiting
Right.
pieces of shit,
Yeah.
you know, pound sand.
Exactly.
You know, fucking projecting, gaslighting, JOs.
Yeah.
I'm over you. I don't believe that we're gonna fail, and I believe we will win this battle. I believe. I don't talk about losing. Like Todd said, you know, people, it's their natural thing. Hey, you know, the way it's going, the way it looks, yeah, we're in trouble. But like I say with one of the Joe Dispenza, we have to think better than we feel.
Right.
We have to act. We have to act. We have to expect that we're getting our liberty back. You're damn right we will prevail, Scott. We will. There's enough of us who want to fight and who will stand up.
You know, everybody in America needs to take a look at Canada right now and those truckers and see that they aren't backing down. They are risking jail, losing everything they have, their bank accounts, all their money. Why we sit here and we fucking bitch about everything and do nothing about it.
Yeah, and do nothing because you know what? Steak's a little bit more expensive. Gas is, you know,
yeah,
$2 more, but
yeah,
you know, it's not that big a deal.
Yeah,
it's a big deal.
My kindergarten's wearing masks to school every day. It's fine.
Ramona Bessinger is going to be with us again tonight. She was our guest, I want to say back maybe in October. She's the teacher from Rhode Island who has been a whistleblower on the critical race theory and all the BS in the schools up there. And they have, you know what, in October is when they came after her, so it was probably before that. Shit, I don't know what it was. She'll remember, I'm sure. But she's going to be on with us here in a minute. She's on standby. But we got a lot tonight about teachers. I mean,
we were talking, we could do weeks worth of show just going through TikTok and watching teachers and what their message is for kids and all this pedophile shit that's happening in schools, and it's insane.
That Tanaya Mack that we talked about, who's excited about teaching pleasure-based sex ed, queer, inclusive, and pleasure-based sex ed to elementary kids.
When did grooming be like okay? Did you publicly talk about grooming children? When did that start being okay?
You know what? I post that, or I retweet that tweet of hers in answers, in replies all the time.
Right.
And you know what somebody said yesterday? What's wrong with that?
Yeah.
I don't know if it was just a bot or somebody just poking me. I mean, whatever. But still, what's wrong with that?
I mean, on that topic, have you seen the outrage about what the Florida Democrats are calling the "Don't Say Gay" bill? Have you seen that?
Yeah, I think Ramona's going to bring that up too. It's really the parental rights bill.
It never says anything about "Don't Say Gay." It says, "Don't teach primary school kids stuff that is like for adults." They don't
teach our children stuff, things that are none of your fucking business.
Why are you talking to primary school kids about sex at all?
Elementary.
Yeah.
Right?
That's like 3rd, 4th, or I mean, what, 5 to 8? I don't know what primary school is.
We've got another girl or a teacher, I believe, and she responded to I think it's Tanaya. She's actually a senator in Rhode Island. You guys are messed up there.
Yeah.
I mean, not you, Ramona. I hear you're on with this.
Hi, Ramona.
Hi.
Like I said to you, Ramona. Hi, how are you?
Good.
I'm going a million miles an hour already.
He's a little.
Yeah. Sorry about the weird filter. I can't figure out how to turn it off. I don't know how to get rid of this thing, but
We'll figure it out. We can hear your
Any
lovely
help?
voice.
thank you. This is going to be fun.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Oh, I see you now.
Yeah. On mine, it doesn't look.
No, you look
On my
fine.
Facebook, yeah, it looks fine.
Yeah,
Looks
it's
good.
squeezed
Okay.
down enough that you can't really see it. It looks great.
Okay.
Todd, you're so clever. It looks like she's on the TV behind us.
Yeah, just look over at her every once
Oh
in a
yeah,
while.
that does work.
Hey, what's up? That's cool. So I'm excited to have you back. We've got a lot to talk about. You know, Tia and I, this is Tia, Ramona, Tia,
Hi,
Tia
Tia.
Ramona.
Hello.
She gets here when she can. She's a very important person in Pensacola, so she's not always able to join us, but she is one of my favorites, very favorites. I sent her a message today. I'm like, are you going to be on, I forget, are you going to be on the show tonight, Patriot? She's one of my favorite, she's one of my top one Patriots.
Excellent.
She, speaking of me not having a girlfriend for 20 years or whatever, she's like, listen, if you get a girlfriend, can you get somebody that I can hang out with
Yes.
that thinks like us?
Yeah. If you bring, oh my gosh, I'm done with you. Bring some like Democrat over to my house or something.
Yeah, right?
No, I'll disown you.
So Ramona, let's see. We were talking about, we've got several things that we'll play that you can comment on. We obviously want to talk about what's going on with you since the last time you were on. Do you remember the last time you were on?
No,
when it
Ramona,
was?
tell us about yourself.
Yeah.
Oh,
For everybody
so just
that didn't
really
see you.
quickly, I'll give you the real quick abridged version. I've been teaching now for 22 plus years English, mostly at the high school level, but the past couple of years at the middle school level. And sometime about a year and a half ago, last November, we got a new curriculum, a new Rhode Island Department of Education, Commissioner of Education came in to save Rhode Island schools and in particular save Providence schools. So she came in and brought this curriculum with her. And initially we had no idea what the heck was going on. Well, I made the big mistake of teaching the Declaration of Independence in November of 20. And I got reprimanded and was hauled into HR for doing so. And that was the beginning of me sort of questioning and wondering what the heck is going on in our schools. And then, of course, all these books rolled in, and I, long story short, complained and was again hauled into HR and constantly harassed and bullied. And, it was just terrible. And wrote the article in July exposing what was happening in the schools. And that thankfully went, I wouldn't say viral, but made it into Breitbart and Wall Street Journal and was rewritten about and tweeted about,
That's
et cetera.
pretty viral.
And then,
That's how I found you,
Yeah.
on Twitter, but through
Yes.
that article.
A good thing.
Yeah.
I went back to school in September, and from day one, I was attacked and verbally attacked by several colleagues, called her a white supremacist, singled out. Nobody wanted to sit with me in the faculty meetings. I sat by myself. So I knew that I was, out there. I was completely sort of untouchable by the faculty. Nobody wanted to be seen with me. And so they were trying to make me quit. And when that didn't work, then they turned middle schoolers against me, which is not very hard to do because kids at that age really want to please the adults. And if you have a principal that is guiding 2 or 3 kids to do nefarious activities, then it's not difficult to do. And so, once that happened, then I wasn't safe anymore at this school, and I had to I transferred out to a high school. But they didn't put me into a classroom. They said for my safety, they're going to put me in the basement. And that is where I am now. I've done nothing wrong and have never been disciplined or fired or done nothing wrong, but they're making an example out of me currently. So that's sort of the abridged version. There's a lot of stuff that happened in between, but just to bring, the whole story up to speed.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what kind of material were you writing about in your article?
Well, basically last July, I spoke specifically about the curriculum and how it was affecting the kids at my school. And from my perspective as a teacher in the classroom, I was very alarmed at a couple of things, that they were taking books out of our classrooms, throwing them into dumpsters, the classics, textbooks, thousands of dollars worth of material going into the garbage. And we had a very scripted curriculum that we had to teach. And I wrote about the fact that the curriculum itself seemed quite anti-American and racially divisive. It also seemed there were some, it didn't seem like any of these books had been vetted. I didn't recognize the authors. I didn't recognize many of the hundreds of books that were streaming into my classroom. I couldn't identify the actual curriculum. The lesson plans were all bizarre, but very highly racialized content, militant content in some cases. And it seemed that the kids were becoming very militarized or weaponized, and to sort of, all of a sudden kids were seeing me as the enemy, and in fact called me America on several occasions. It was very bizarre. Like, I'm like, where is this coming from? Where is this sort of anti-American hate for white people, coming from? And obviously the connection could be easily made between the books, the curriculum, and the political mindset of the time, so it was bizarre at the time. I didn't quite understand where it was coming from, so I wrote about it. I wrote about this experience. Now I know exactly where it comes from and how it's getting rolled out, and so do many other people. And I think that whistle has now turned into a collective whistle that is blowing across the nation. And so my experience is a small part of what is happening on a grander scale all over the country, and in fact in Canada, as we're seeing with their own, whistleblowing and revolt. So
one of the things we talked about when you were on, it must have been July-ish when you were on then.
September, I think.
It was September, so you were back in school.
Yes, early, or no, maybe it was August, but yeah, it was before.
I think you might have been early, because you were given a new class to teach, right? CNN?
Yes, so it was September, right.
Yeah, the CNN for, what was it called? CNN for Kids?
What?
Oh,
that was
CNN for dopes. It was really interesting because I'd done quite a few Fox appearances to talk about my experience. And lo and behold, when I went back to school in September, as a form of punishment, I believe, they took me away from all my English classes and gave me CNN classes to teach, which I found amusing. I had a little bit of fun with, but at the end of the day, the kids were suffering because they're not getting a proper education. They were, I was being punished for speaking out, and they were trying to humiliate me by making me teach CNN News.
What grade did you teach again?
Last year, 7 and 8.
Wow.
CNN for Kids.
That's a
Yes.
Didn't you show other movies and stuff instead?
Well, I had the kids do comparative studies between CNN and other, news sources. And of course, that was met with disapproval as well. I had to stick to that very scripted script. They kept trying to throw obstacles in my way as an educator. They kept trying to trip me up and cause me to make a big mistake that they could fire me over, and that never actually happened. So, they upped the ante, and it became not a tenable situation when you turn children against a teacher. It's in the inner city, in an urban community, that can become explosive very, very quickly.
Did you have any parents back you up? Did anybody go to school board meetings for this?
No, it was all happened very, very quickly. And I don't even think the parents were aware of what was going on, because when I was transferred, I received text messages and messages from parents wondering about what was going on in their children's classes, why wasn't there, and what was going on. And of course, at the time, I wasn't really at liberty to discuss it because I didn't really know. I did know that there was some sort of retaliation taking place, but I didn't really understand whether this was permanent or what I could say, what I could not say. They basically, one day when I walked into class, literally said to me, "You have to go down to the teacher's room, the faculty lounge, and sit there for the day." And that's what I did. They left me there in freezing cold temperatures. What? And at the end of the day, they said, my union rep called me to say, you cannot go back to Isaac Hopkins School, Isaac Hopkins Middle School. You are being transferred to another school. So and then subsequent to that, after putting me in another school in the basement in a very uncomfortable room, they blocked me out of all curriculum materials, professional development, and my own union, in fact, blocked me from Twitter, from Facebook. And so the sort of, overt harassment continued, probably in the hopes of forcing me to quit, which I haven't done. Done yet.
One of the things we talked about back then was, I'm an advocate to get your kids out of public school. And I think I asked you, why don't you get out, And I, at the time when we did it, you said, because I'm going to stay and fight. I'm going to stay and fight for what's right. I'm not going to let them do this to me and to the kids, and I'm going to stay and fight. And I have come to admire the fact that you have stuck around and taken up the fight and not back down.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, the choice is this: stay and fight, and really fight and advocate for change, or at least to expose what is actually happening in our schools, or run away from it. And the alternative will be worse. I speak to the parents in my group when we all get a little discouraged about what's happening in our local schools, that taking your kids out of schools is not an option. It's not American. We are Americans first, and we are fighters, and we cannot allow our democracy to be stripped from us. What they're trying to do to me is silence me, prevent me from reporting out, and I'm going to fight that to the bitter end. And I encourage everybody to do the same. Don't be afraid to speak up against these bullies, because at the end of the day, they have, the story, The Emperor Has No Clothes, or the story, The Wizard of Oz. When They come out from behind the curtain, they're really puny and stupid and small people with small amounts of power. And that's all they are. And, here they are picking on me en masse, some teachers and using students to do their bidding and trying to intimidate me in the class as an educator, telling me that they're watching my tweets and watching what I post on social media, and constantly pulling me into the office to reprimand me for stupid things. Well, this is a historic time for all of us, and we cannot turn our backs. We cannot walk away from this situation. We cannot be afraid to be called racist, or afraid to be called names, or bullied or harassed. We have to stand up to all of this, because otherwise they win and they are going to take our nation over. And that is not an exaggeration. They're reframing history through the schools and using children to retell the history and to fight against us. And I say them against us because they are currently developing little activists, kids who believe that the country is filled with enemies who are patriotic. And they're building an army. And so if we don't stay and fight, and if we don't stay and expose this, then we succumb to it. And we will be like the Jews in the Second World War, where we're carted off to a concentration camp and murdered. Worse.
Right.
Yeah.
Does that sound nuts?
Yeah.
It doesn't sound nuts to me, because I know what they're up to.
Yes.
I don't think people, one of the things, well, this is kind of a good thing to bring this up a little bit, and I hope it'll come to pass. And I'm not a super fan of his. This is from Lynn Wood. And I don't know what to think of him, because he talks a lot and nothing has come to be, but it helps me make my point here. His tweet, I think it was yesterday: over the next 10 to 14 days, you will learn shocking information about many of our government officials and wealthy elite. Child sex trafficking and pedophilia are the worldwide pandemic. And I won't read the rest of it, but people aren't ready for that, nor do they want to accept it when in fact I believe that is what's going on.
Well, yeah, you can look around. The pedophiles are everywhere. They've taken over.
I mean, you got that clown ass whack job Senator Mack in Rhode Island. That's a perfect example.
Yeah.
But people aren't ready to accept what they're going to hear about what's going on.
Correct.
They don't want to
hear.
A
lot of people, you're right. That's why we need to sound the alarms. We need to when I speak, I try to present the facts, and I try to speak to this as a nonpartisan issue, which it is. It is a human issue. It's an American issue. It is an issue and it will affect us all. What is happening is that pedophilia is becoming almost normalized, and it is becoming normalized through the literature that the kids are reading. When you have images and literature that speak to adult sex with children, then children are not able to recognize when a predator preys upon them.
Right.
And that is what
Grooming.
The pedophile would like. You
Yeah.
know?
And
then they tried to pass that bill, which I spoke against. Tiara Mack sponsored a bill, and in this bill would be the mandate that all public schools would be mandated to teach, and this is a quote, pleasurable sexual relations. So imagine an adult in a classroom speaking to an 11-year-old about how to engage in pleasurable sexual relations. The ambiguity there and the problem for potential harm, embarrassment, humiliation, and quite frankly, abuse, the potential is so high that it's frightened so many of us that we got the bill shelved. But that doesn't mean they're not going to be emboldened to continue their work, because they're being emboldened at all levels, right? In the literature, in the culture, sex is becoming this thing that, in kindergarten, some of the lessons are teaching children to touch themselves. One lesson I came across was called, I see you, you see me. Now, the ambiguity there in that phrase alone. Can you imagine an adult speaking to a little kindergartner and saying that? Right. With the picture of a genderbread man with a big X near the private parts, and on the X, the word sex? Well, I'm not a prude. I'm not like, I feel that this is not about the word sex. It's not about sex. The kids' brains are not ready for this information, and it opens the door for adults to engage in inappropriate relations with children
Right.
So when you have a genderbread man and an adult pointing to the genital area to talk about pleasurable sexual relations, you can see the door now is open wide for this pedophilia and this potential abuse. Really sickening.
Yeah, and you know what's messed up is when you speak out against it, you get gaslit. And so you don't want to speak up because they make you feel like you're a conspiracy theorist or,
Yes.
you're crazy. And so people aren't
Right.
speaking up like they should because they don't want to get shamed.
Yeah, well, you got to be tough. And oddly enough, I haven't really come across a whole lot of pushback. I don't know if it's because I'm an educator, I understand curriculum. I understand how they're doing this. And I would be hard pressed to argue with me on any of the points that I'm bringing up. I understand developmental stages and how curriculums are rolled out. And so I haven't received a whole lot of pushback. The one problem I have come across is exposure, like on Twitter. Twitter has censored my posts. They have a censor on my profile. I think if you've never gone to my Twitter feed, you have to put my name in twice before you find me on Twitter. And then when you do, there's a warning apparently that says sensitive material.
I follow you,
Like-
so I don't get any of that.
You don't get that.
You know what's
but-
crazy is somebody's been talking back to me and I've clicked on their profile and I've looked through their profile and there's porn all over their profile. Not one censorship on any of that.
Yeah, do you see the stuff
But-
that's on? I mean,
It's disgusting. And there's,
you can put anything sexually on Twitter you want.
yep.
Right. And then there's me, I'm just posting lessons. And, the other day I posted, I love America because my principal asked me to post something positive. He said, why don't you post something positive? So I said, okay. And I said, I love America. And that had a censor, that was censored at first. And
I
And
do
they
that all
removed
the
it.
time as I post the flag or say I love the United States or the United States of America is the greatest country on earth. I do it just to jab them, just because there's people out there that are just like ugh to that.
Well, they can leave.
And you know what the disgusting part of you talked about the books that are coming into the classroom and that the kids are getting taught out of, right? Even the books in the library that they might check out and there's sexually explicit stuff in the books. Now they've turned that into banning books.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. So you're banning. The Republicans are banning books. They want to ban
Right.
books.
Let me.
can I speak?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yep, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, they'll always try to switch the narrative up and move you in a different direction. And I want to
Solinsky.
speak to that because no one's banning books. No one's asking for them to ban books. What we are asking for is a total dismantling of the entire curriculum cultural platform. All of it, the 1,000 books that have come into our schools, the professional development. So when they use that word book banning, I like to come back with, I'm not asking for one book to be banned. I'm asking for the whole cabal to be dismantled, everything, right up to the federal government and the companies that are supplying these entire curriculum platforms. But they will try to say that. They will say, oh, you're a bunch of book banners.
Yeah.
Heck no.
It's mind-boggling. What did you have to?
Oh, I was gonna say, so the Florida Dems have been freaking out. DeSantis hates gays. There's the anti-gay bill, and they nonstop hitting Twitter with it all day. And so I was reading the bill, and it says, "Don't say gay bill that state school districts may not encourage discussion about sexual orientation or gender identity in primary grade levels or in a manner that is not age appropriate or developmentally appropriate for students." Blah. So why would you argue against that? Where?
Because they want to be able to groom them, and because the LGBTQ community, I believe a small percentage of the community, I think it's small, is pushing that grooming. Maybe it's not small is pushing that.
And they're gaslighting the bill to make it seem like it's anti-gay, and it has nothing to do with being anti-gay. It has to do about protecting children They're too young to know
Right.
about sex.
It's traumatic for children to have conversations with an adult about issues they're not ready for. Kids are stressed. They're coming home and asking questions. I talk to my neighbors and I hear at school, kids are confused. They're also feeling the pressure of speaking out what they're learning because they themselves will be bullied.
They're pushing
So
them to this
these
gender
very
neutral.
reasonable,
They're pushing them to this gender neutral. You know what? I don't even know all the words.
Non-binary.
Non-binary, transgender. They're pushing them towards it.
Yeah, pronouns are like a normal thing, and like not obviously not in this Florida. That's not really happening, but like in most states, I think in high school you say your pronouns when you introduce yourself, right? When you get to school, I've heard that about, and that is wild to me.
not me.
No.
Yeah. Whenever I see, when you look at somebody's bio or whatever, and they have their pronouns in it, I'm just like, piece of shit.
Yeah, you're not a serious person. Don't try to argue with me.
You're.
Those
you're
are invented words. They're not even real. How do you teach something that just was dropped out of the sky by some nutter, who decided that all of a sudden we're going to have these pronouns? Like, it's ridiculous.
Almost everything
It's not
they
even
do is
part of an
dropped out of the
evolution
sky.
of any language.
And it's getting longer. Their pronouns are getting more wild and more wild.
We were talking before the show, Ramona, my daughter-in-law's partner at work, not business partner. Her daughter is 14 years old at school, and she said half the kids don't go by she, her, he, his. They're
They, them.
it, zit, whatever the hell they are. Now, half the kids, they got half the
No.
kids messed
Yeah,
up.
because they're making it seem like it's cool. Like it's the movies, the TV, everything that they're surrounded by is pushing this imaginary shit on their brains.
That the part of that parental rights bill, and you wanted to talk a little bit about that too, Ramona. But I saw somebody's post the other day. The Trevor Project. Are you familiar with that?
No.
They're a big supporter of the fight against the bill. Okay, and they're like, they want a teacher to be able to. Well, they're saying, well, a kid shouldn't be afraid to bring up the fact that they don't feel like they're the gender that they're supposed to be or whatever, because their parents won't talk about it. So teachers should be able to guide them through it.
Teachers aren't counselors.
And I'm like,
No.
the hell they will.
No.
The hell you're guiding somebody. It's not your job.
No.
They're not your children.
They're
is
not
what I
your,
like to
well,
say.
yeah, that's where they, that whole it takes a community,
Takes a village.
takes a village. Who started that shit back in the Barack Obama days? Brought it up.
Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a village I'd like to take her to.
She'd be the
No,
village
they're
idiot.
not. Teachers are not equipped. We're there to teach reading and writing. That is our job. And quite frankly, we're neglecting that job.
Todd, play the, hang on one second. Let's see. Todd, play this teacher thinks she's totally immune.
Alrighty.
This is a young teacher who thinks parents have no place in the decisions of what goes on at school.
Hold on just a second, and here we go.
And you know what, Ramona? The teachers that come up, hang on a second before you start. The teachers like you, other teachers have to know what's going on with these other teachers and call it out. If you don't want to be demonized as being a teacher for what these other teachers are doing, then you better speak up. Am I wrong?
Well, you're right. A lot of teachers do know what's going on. They shut their door and they just get through the day. Money is a compelling motivator, and what is happening to me is no accidents by design. And they're sending a message. You speak out against what we're doing, and we're going to fire you, or we're going to come after you and make you quit. So a lot of teachers are just putting their head down.
Well, it's
Or
what
they share materials with people like me and others who are speaking out, and we post it all.
Well, it's what they're doing to doctors with COVID too, in a lot of instances.
Yeah.
So for evil to, what is it? I'm paraphrasing. For evil to succeed is for good men to do nothing.
Yeah.
Correct. I like that.
Yeah, and that's what these teachers, that's what these doctors, that's what they're doing. Because their own little personal bubble is more important than us.
Yes.
Here
Well,
we go.
that's how revolutions happen, right? I mean, they bank on people being terrified.
Right.
And they bank on people being cowards. You know, I can't tell you how many people have said to me, oh, I really admire what you're doing. I wish I could speak out. I wish I could, you know, have a social media presence. And I'm like, don't even, you know, shut the fuck up and get out there and, you know, help. And because otherwise they're going to come into your home and take what you have. And, you know, we're not going to recognize this country if this continues to sort of escalate at the rate that they are pushing all of this through, because it's not just happening in schools, it's happening in hospitals and business and marketing and everywhere. It's a bureaucratic coup.
Listen to this teacher. I'd say she's in her 20s. I want to say, Todd, do you think?
Yeah, she looks like it early.
So listen to this teacher.
So I see how you think that you've done something here, because parents or community members have voiced concern to their elected official, which is how that process works. Not bringing it to a teacher, right? They're taking it to the elected official. And now that legislators are trying to implement these things. But still, in fact, a parent, not my boss. I don't actually answer to them, so get bent.
Get bent. Get bent.
Man, I'm so glad I don't have kids in school. I would be, oh, God.
I'm telling you, you wouldn't want me to be a parent.
Well, memo to that teacher. She's not getting hired anywhere, because guess what? She works for people. She works for the family. She works for the parents.
Yes.
And if a parent wants to tell her that she's, you know, doing something that is offensive or worrisome or a concern, the parent has the right to do so.
Absolutely. I'm going to ask you a question, since you are a teacher. How do you feel about cameras in the classroom?
Well, I like the idea of having cameras in the classroom, but it doesn't work. And I'll tell you why. The technology doesn't always work. Sometimes kids have privacy issues. So they, you know, I don't know, there's safety issues. And so DCYF says that they can't be filmed. And if you accidentally film a child, then you're sued, or, you know, the school will be sued. We have cameras all over the schools already. So there's always documentation of what's going on. But to allow the public to just come into a classroom and look and see what's going on, it's not appropriate, because when you have a class of 25 children, there might be some children who are not allowed to be seen on camera. And, you know, then somebody said, well, you can just put them right on the teacher, but the teacher's always moving around the classroom.
Right.
So it's got some logistical problems,
Yeah,
but
I didn't think about those points.
yeah.
Yeah, I usually have a good answer, but I have nothing. That's a rough one to get
I mean,
around.
if only the parents in the classroom had access, but still, I guess it's still a safety issue for those kids.
And then you're moving to other classrooms. There's other people in. There's a lot of moving pieces to that debate. But you know, transparency is important. There should be academic transparency. You should be able to say, what are you teaching? Show me the assignments. Where are they? I can post my assignments. In fact, when I was in the classroom, I was posting everything on Google Classroom. I had total transparency. Parents could come in and join and see my assignments and the books I was reading. Now they can seal everything. You ask a question and it's like, you know, they hide behind their, their little masks and their she, him pronouns, or she, her, whatever, binary, non-binary pronouns,
Listen
and
to this one.
call the attorneys in, you know.
It's mind-boggling.
Crazy.
Listen to this one. No, not that one. This one. Tammy Lee, assistant principal in the San Pasquale Union, at San Pasquale Union High School or school district or whatever. The title of the email, it's a copy of the email. Mm-hmm. It's redacted.
Yeah.
That's an official term.
Fancy.
From here on out, Rebecca, I guess that's the last name, which is redacted.
And so the principal is writing this to the teacher, correct?
To the teachers.
Okay.
To the faculty.
Okay.
From here on out, Rebecca shall be referred to as Evan. He, they. He will use the girls' bathroom facilities. All students and staff may know. There will not be an announcement in class. Evan's parents, all caps, do not know. So
Wow.
Synergy and any information that goes home shall say Rebecca. Please make a note in your subplans to use Evan, knowing the attendance sheet from Synergy will say Rebecca.
Just think of the man hours involved in having to do that kind of craziness.
And that signed, and the signature.
For every
This
student.
bitch. Tammy Lee, Master's in Education, Assistant Principal, pronouns she, her, hers.
And if you don't follow that protocol, then there'll be a lawsuit.
Yeah.
A seventh grader belongs to their
Not
parents.
her.
That's insane.
You're a seventh grade. They're taking control of this seventh grade girl's life,
Yeah.
and they're deciding
Yes.
to turn him into a boy.
It's a law in the books. They can take children from I think the age of 11 up, have a private secret conversation with that child, and change the child's sex and identity without the parents knowing. That is in fact happening right now as we speak. And, there are more and more cases coming out where children suddenly realize what they've agreed to, and in some cases commit suicide, of which they have books to instruct kids to do so.
Say that again. Say that again. They have books to
The
instruct
suicide,
what?
yes. In fact, one of the parents at a school committee meeting last night spoke to this. This parent called me and was very, very upset because his daughter was coming home very panic-stricken, not able to sleep, not able to eat, was having worries about eating and all kinds of concerns. And so he asked the teacher what is going on, like what's going on at school. And lo and behold, this young girl was being exposed to mega books on bulimia and anorexia, and it was causing her harm. Well, the girl also brought home a book on suicide. The book, I'll just sort of paraphrase what he was saying. The book has different ways to kill yourself, starting with the least effective ways. And it goes into great detail on what to do and how to kill yourself effectively or ineffectively. On a scale of 1 to 10, slitting your wrist is a 5 because it doesn't always work on a scale, but a 1 is to, get a knife and slit your carotid artery or something, like craziness, just crazy. So, they are, what I think anyway, creating such panic, such anxiety. And for what reason? Well, you could go way out on a limb, which probably isn't going to sound too much like a limb, but it would appear that sterilization of young people could potentially, maybe this is intentional, maybe it's not intentional, but giving girls hormones, providing instructions on how to kill yourself. It seems that they're trying to erase children. And I don't know what the end game is. I hate to think of pedophiles or pedophilia taking over an aspect of our community or culture, but I'm starting to think that there is an element of, there's truth to that.
I'm a firm believer that there is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's getting normalized and so fast.
And this is why, because I believe we can have this discourse here, that I admire you staying and fighting, but I still can't condone, is condone the right word?
Yes.
I want to take the kids out of school, because as long as they're sending them home with suicide books, how to commit suicide, and they're teaching them how to masturbate and how to touch themselves in kindergarten and shit, they can't be there.
Yeah, and if you're a school parent and you go to a school board meeting, you could get arrested and taken out in handcuffs, and you're a domestic terrorist. And so it's this really hard place for parents when they want to fight, but then, they can't keep their kids home because they can't afford to do all that. And it's such a terrible, I'm so thankful that we don't have that issue here. Well, yet, hopefully, not in a real long time, but I couldn't imagine living in a blue state and dealing with that.
It's much more progressive up there than it is down here.
No, we live in a different planet, especially.
If you want to call that progressive. No.
Well, I'm trying to be, sound intelligent. But yeah, it's just, Todd, play the, speaking of school board meetings, I mean, it's just, let me read a couple things first. Get that school board meeting.
School board mask on thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Montessori, a Massachusetts Montessori preschool has shut down and apologized after a classroom full of toddlers painted faces on paper plates and held them up to their own faces as a celebration of Black History Month. Preschool closes, apologizes after blackface activity.
Is that really blackface activity, though? You
cannot make this up.
Can preschoolers be racist? I mean,
That's
where are
teachers?
Why this fragility is insane. I know.
Really, that is just. I'm sure the teacher probably thought, "Oh, she's going to do something that will show."
Yeah,
there is nothing wrong with that. Yeah,
that's really.
Loudoun County, which is which had the case of the supposed transgender guy.
Yeah, he raped the girl in the bathroom, and then they covered it up.
19 years old or 22 years old, and they let him back in school, and he raped the girl in the bathroom.
And they ended up taking his parent out of the school board meeting in handcuffs because he spoke up about his daughter getting raped.
Loudoun County Public School teacher assistant charged of assault of student. A teacher assistant at Loudoun County Public Schools has been charged after an investigation into a report he struck a child inside the classroom last week. The teacher assistant, Joshua F. Simmons, 34, of Charlestown, West Virginia, turned himself in today and was arrested after he was found to be responsible for the victim's care and created or inflicted, threatened to create or inflict, or allowed to be created and inflicted upon the child a physical or mental injury other than by accidental means.
How old was this kid?
It's a misdemeanor for hitting a kid in your classroom.
You would be 2 years ago. You would have been fired and put in jail and investigated by DCYF. Now, are you kidding me? This is unbelievable. The things I'm seeing.
Well,
there was some.
Isn't it right that teacher unions are running shit because they donate to the Democratic Party, and the Democratic Party gives them whatever they want, and that's just what's happening right now.
Yes. A lot of money laundering going on, a lot of back scratching, a lot of bonuses being handed out, a lot of awards, principals, superintendents getting accolades and awards. Everybody's helping everybody until the bubble bursts. And then you're going to see, after the revolution, then it's going to be a problem because this can only go on for so long. Right, all the back scratching, the bonuses, the awards that everyone's getting. It keeps people engaged. They've sold their souls.
Right.
Evil.
You know what? I'm not sure. I think it's they can sustain it as long as they want, really, because I think the people at the top have so much money. You used the word cabal a few minutes ago, and I believe that is what's going on. And the money at the top there is
Well, and another thing, the parents are getting more progressive
Unlimited.
and not minding it as much as like it would be back, let's say 5 years ago.
Yeah.
They're getting desensitized to this ridiculousness where it's not even affecting them anymore
Well,
like it should.
Ramona, I showed that Tiara Mack tweet, the one from a couple weeks ago now, where she said, I'm really excited about the new sex ed bill. Teaching queer, inclusive, pleasure-based sex ed was the highlight of my teaching career. I showed that
Where did she teach? I said,
Rhode Island,
yeah,
right?
I saw that.
Did she teach anywhere?
She claims she taught in Providence. Now, Providence is a very big district, so she could have taught there, and I never saw her. But I don't recall anyone teaching pleasure-based sex. The kids would have traveled like wildfire.
Right. Yeah,
She might have done something in some bizarre little political group.
So even
or
worse,
at
that
her
she's
Brown
lying.
University.
Even worse,
You know.
she's lying about it. To
I
try
don't know. Yeah,
to try and normalize it. But I showed it to
possibly.
I showed it to a mom at my gym, and I said, "What do you think of this? You know, teaching pleasure-based, queer inclusive, pleasure-based sex ed was the highlight." And she goes, "I don't know," and I'm like, "What?" She goes, "Well, what do you think?" I said, "I think fuck no.
Right.
I don't have a problem. People got to. This is a mom of three daughters, three beautiful daughters from the age of around 5 to 10.
Maybe she didn't want to be a prude. Maybe that's what she was.
She didn't want to speak. I mean, what do you mean you don't know?
Exactly.
I know.
The word pleasure does not need to be, and sex do not need to be taught to any kids. You
Right.
teach biology to high school kids, not elementary school kids, and you teach where babies come from. But the whole pleasure and everything that does not need to come
And
out
it
of a
doesn't-
teacher's
none
mouth.
of it, and none of it comes up until middle school.
It's
Yeah.
no wonder none
That's
of them.
like after puberty, at least. Let's wait till that.
Yeah.
It's
Or
not-
around puberty where you.
Never.
It's no wonder
okay.
It's no wonder they can't do cursive. They can't read cursive. They're too busy teaching this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
They don't even know what that means.
No, I know. That's the
Well,
point.
thankfully, the bill hasn't passed, and there won't be any curriculum teaching pleasure-based sex. And this is what I tell parents. If your kids come home and they tell you that a teacher is teaching them how to have pleasurable sex, call the police. Go right to the police and file a police report.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then ride them until that person's arrested.
Yeah, because you were talking about sex with a minor. That's against the law. You cannot do that. That's people get arrested for doing that on the internet all the time.
You
Right.
saw Ramona? Did you? I said you ought to listen to the show. We addressed a bunch of this stuff. That professor from Fredonia University in New York.
Refresh my memory again.
The video that came out that got everything geared up. And I'm going to digress a little. Are you familiar with Libs on TikTok, on Twitter?
Yeah,
Libs of TikTok?
yeah.
So she's the one that exposed it. I don't know if I saw it there or another one, but he said.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
I'm not convinced that an adult having sex with a 12-year-old is wrong.
Oh yeah, we watched
Oh,
that.
I remember that, the
And
professor.
then it progressed into, I'm going to leave out all the stuff in the middle, but I'm not even sure it's wrong with a 1-year-old.
Yeah.
And then his example was, there in some countries, grandmas are known to fillet their 1-year-old babies to prevent colic.
What?
Yeah, you heard what I said,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's what he said.
I wonder what happened to that guy. I hope he lost everything
He got
has.
suspended.
Oh well, that's not
that's
good enough.
it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Over public outrage.
What a sicko.
It was. I couldn't even watch it all. It was really hard to stomach.
And then he had another guy. He was on a podcast with another guy.
Oh, yeah.
And they this is what they likened a kid having sex, a child having sex with an adult, which they may not want to do. They don't want to do. Well, they were even talking about a 12-year-old. And the 12-year-old, they were saying the 12-year-old is willingly having sex with the adult. Mm-hmm. I'm like, what
Wow.
do you mean willingly?
Yeah.
But anyway,
Shame.
they're like, it's just like kids do things they don't want to do all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like we make them go to church, and we make them go to Uncle Joe's funeral, and they don't want to do that. So what's the difference?
That is exactly what he said too.
Yeah.
Wow.
He brought up church.
Well, that's a pedophile brain for you. You know, they're justifying in their own brains. That's how they can do such a horrific act. You know, they're
Evil.
sick people.
So the podcast host then says, "Thank you. I've been saying teaching for 25 years in the classroom that adult-child sex isn't wrong."
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
What is the matter with, see, this is a problem with normalizing all of this pedophilia in the classroom. It's bringing out all the mentally ill people are coming right out of the woodwork. And now that it's like their day in this, they're so happy to be able to say what they've been thinking all along, because now it's validated in the curriculum.
Yeah.
Who were the two
so
Weathered
unfortunate.
Underground? I was thinking that Bernadine, is it Bernadine Dorn? One of the Weathered Underground. Bill.
Are you talking about the one that brought Obama out?
Yeah.
Oh, Bill.
I want to say that
yeah.
she was in some kind, had something. Maybe it wasn't her with the sexual thing, but they're putting known offenders in positions of authority in school systems
Wow.
that have been in prison for these things.
I'm astounded by that, really,
With
but I
her-
shouldn't be.
With her, it might have just been that she was. She might have been. She was convicted. They tried to bomb and kill police, I believe it was, back in the '60s. I want to say, but when she got out of prison, she ended up. Now she's back in being like a college dean or something like this. After being in prison for trying to bomb the police. I was thinking there was something sexually related with her, but maybe it wasn't. Probably wasn't. But I know that they're putting people in positions. I've seen it. Read about it before. There's no depth. There's no depth. There's no bottom to their
To
depravity.
openly have a conversation and videotape it and release it onto the internet and talking about having sex with kids with no shame, it says so much about where we are and how far that we've gone. That is terrifying.
Well, the fact that
That's
the
right.
police didn't just come over to their house and arrest them and throw
And
away
search
the
their
keys.
computers
Right,
immediately.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's like Dateline. I mean, what To Catch a Predator kind
Yeah.
of stuff.
Yeah. They're
I mean,
more
it's
worried
all
about
out, it's all out in the
truckers.
open now. Do you have the school board?
Yeah.
Listen to this school board meeting. This guy took his mask off to talk.
Did you have a question?
Is he in charge?
Okay. So
Are you
what
in
was?
charge?
No, Mr.
I'm
Tubb.
speaking
Are
as
you
public
in charge?
comment.
Are you in charge?
You said at the beginning of the
Are
meeting
you in
you would not be
charge?
rude to people.
Enough.
Are you in charge?
Mr. Tubb. Mr. Tubb.
We should remove him. I mean, this is rude.
We'll start your 2 minutes now, sir.
I'm,
This is not what you promised. You said if they don't wear a mask, they can't speak.
I have a mask. I could wear the mask on my head if you want. I mean, it's just,
You can wear your mask on your fucking balls.
Okay,
You don't wear the
enough,
fucking
enough,
mask.
enough.
Get the fuck out of here.
Enough. We're going to take recess for 5
good enough.
minutes.
That was a school board member.
Yeah, they've
You
gone.
should come to our school board meetings, or events. People
It's
are
just
angry.
insane.
They've had it.
Man, there's nothing I love more though than watching those mama bears and papa bears get up there and rip school boards apart. I love to see it.
You don't
Well-
want to mess with the mama bears.
No.
Mind
Yeah, it's
boggling.
pretty intense out there right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
I don't envy you at all. That's a tough position to be in.
Yeah. It's tough because I see it as a teacher where it's happening and unfolding, at ground zero in Providence. And then, of course, my one son who is in high school is getting it there as well. I mean, he has a crazy activist teacher who's supposed to be teaching him American literature. And, she's teaching him anti-American literature. She's teaching him that white males are evil. And, he's writing an essay right now on how to get drugs from the federal government or the Federal Government Drug Act, or, it's just, this is insanity what is happening. Now, lucky he's a fine, young, conservative male, and he knows what's going on, and a lot of the kids do know what's going on. They're just quiet about it because they want to fly below the radar. Wow, it's pretty insane. I told him, I said, you're part of an historic moment, time to man up.
Yeah.
You just, be polite about it, but don't let anybody, try to sway you or,
How does he do his paper? Does he write the papers to get a good grade so that they'll like him? I mean, I would encourage my kid. I don't care if you flunk.
Well, that's what kids have to do in college right now to appease their professors.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it.
I mean, then
it's true. Everyone's being held hostage to some degree.
Yeah.
Half of them shouldn't be in college.
Well, yeah.
Because they're just going to be a waiter somewhere.
I mean, if I had a kid, I would direct my kid to go to a trade school. I think that's which way I would direct, just because college is so indoctrinating, and trade schools, I mean, you can be have your own business and have your own trade and be on your own, self-reliable.
That's who built
and pay your taxes to the government.
Right.
And pay your taxes. Go figure.
Yeah.
So Ramona, now you are, you go to school and sit in the basement every day.
I sit in the basement, but I'm getting lots of research done down there. And I've done several news interviews and blown the whistle on several curriculum items. So I'm grateful that I'm not grateful that I'm in the basement. I don't like it down there. I'd rather be in the classroom. But I'm making very good use of my time and tweeting out information. And as I said, I spoke to local news, and I've spoken to national news, and I've written, a couple of pieces. Yeah. So, and also they blocked me out of all the curriculum materials. So they probably figured, well, she has no access to any of the curriculum. But my attorneys that I'm working with that are helping me out, Judicial Watch has been kind enough to help me with this issue. And they have, they were like, well, you better get your stuff. So I downloaded everything before I got transferred to the teacher jail that I'm currently in.
Oh, that's so crazy.
Are they stupid? Yeah. They don't even realize that they're giving you a platform, they're giving you time to build this amazing case and do so much exposure of their BS.
Yes, they are stupid.
I mean, I'd have you teaching,
They could have put you anywhere.
Yeah.
But in the basement, they kind of just screwed themselves.
Hey, tweet all day about us.
Yeah.
Write articles about us.
Do you think they track what sites you're going to or anything? Because I'm sure they're able to.
I hope so.
That's what I like to hear.
I hope so. I posted something recently. I said, I understand Providence Schools is watching me on social media. Hello there. What are they going to do?
Nothing.
It's ridiculous at this point.
Nothing.
Are you you're protected from being fired?
I have a feeling that I haven't been fired because I have this sort of amazing group of people that are like angel. They're heroes to me. Judicial Watch. They're amazing. They're doing amazing work in this country, and they have been, very, very, very helpful. Hopefully continue to, help a lot of people, a lot of Americans.
Do they take donations? As far
they
as
do, I think.
Oh, yeah, they do.
I'm just saying that would be something that we should mention as far as
give to Judicial Watch.
Right.
Absolutely.
And let's start a GoFundMe.
It's because of them I have my job. Yes.
Let's start a GoFundMe for Judicial Watch so they can seize it and give it to some other charity.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you see the guy that supposedly hacked GiveSendGo?
Yeah, he was a demon. Talk about evil.
Did you see the lady that the border police?
Yeah, a demon, another demon.
Did you see that, Ramona? The lady that the border police arrested?
For
that was like,
literally sounded exactly like a demon.
Like demonic.
Yeah.
I mean, like the movies.
Yeah.
Got her hands on the doors of the bus.
She was trafficking children, and they
face,
arrested her.
Yeah. And And she's, it was like the movies.
Yeah, it was some cringe.
Well,
it made me.
Yeah.
I have to tell you that in some of the curriculum materials, there are lessons on voodoo. And in fact, someone from another school sent me a mural painting of Lucifer. So, the mental illness is quite prevalent in the schools today and at the border, I would imagine as well. I mean, I did see that clip and that was disturbing.
Was that disturbing or what?
Yeah. It was scary.
I mean, and it's prevalent.
It's like
it's all over the place.
Every day I'm like, holy effing shit. Did you see this? And then the next day it's something more. And I'm like, now I see so much stuff. Like, it's just insane. Like how much you see.
We've been here before. We've enjoyed 60 years of this wonderful democracy, and now it's under attack. It's actually always been lurking and under attack. It's just really, they've advanced unbeknownst to us over the past couple of years. So, I think we'll overcome this. We're a strong nation. People are fed up. It's coming to an end. I'm a hopeless optimist.
I think so too. I think Faja was just saying that before we started the show as well. He's like, we're gonna win this thing. We are the alpha in the situation.
Yeah, they. The last thing we want is that Civil War type of thing, and they don't know that they don't, because they don't want to choose up sides. I don't know what they think is going to happen when it's the alphas versus the betas.
Yeah.
How they think that's going to go.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
what concerns me is, that they're creating an army of folks that are just coming in here and undocumented and whatnot. We don't know what and why and how the huge numbers of illegal young males are being ferried all over the country.
Yeah.
Right.
Happening here in Rhode Island.
Yeah, they're trying to change demographics for voting reasons.
Well, but you say you started to say an army of, and then I was thinking, okay, you're talking about the kids, and I mean, I'm afraid of what the kids, the way things are going, what they're going to be like in a generation.
Weak and deranged.
Exactly.
Is what they're going to be.
And so
betas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Florida and the really conservative areas are going to eat those kids for breakfast is what's going to happen in real life.
All right. That's what I'm, it's just.
Or they're going to start moving here and, it's going to be there's so much
like a virus.
In Texas where they're trying to turn it blue, and I'm afraid they're going to. It's actively trying to do it in Texas, and I'm guessing it's the same here.
It's about 10 years away from turning blue, I would say.
Yeah.
It's purple.
I think we'll get it turned around before then.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Well, something has to happen. I still think 2020 has to be addressed.
It won't be.
By November.
It won't be.
I think we have to look forward to 2022 and then 24. And we have to make sure that our elections are on the up and up, and that people go to the polls, and that they have to have voter ID, and that they cannot pass these laws that allow people who just walk into the country undocumented to have voter rights. So we have really important battles ahead of us, and I think we just need to stay focused on what is ahead of us. That's my thought.
Absolutely.
I agree that we have to make sure that the elections are legit. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
By saying that 2020 has to be addressed. is that they have to, I mean, you know, Dominion and, you know, they talked about the recall. You can't tell me that Gavin Newsom actually won that recall election. I saw something the other day that he got like 9 million votes and that 7 million plus of them were, I don't know exactly the numbers, but it's something close to this, that 7+ million of them were mail-in.
Yeah, but that's how California is. They're just like that there. I mean, it's hard to wrap your head around how can they be, but they are.
Who elects Maxine Waters?
Who elects Nancy Pelosi? But here we are. Look at Biden.
He didn't get
who thought that was a good idea? A lot of people.
Yeah, but
does everybody see my new hat?
But look at Mitch McConnell too.
That turtle needs to kick rocks. Oh God.
Yeah.
But no, we're right. 2022 is where we got to get the head in the game for 2022. The school boards, you know, the seats in the House.
A lot of people say that it's going to be so overwhelming that they can't cheat that much.
I don't know.
It depends on how many illegals come.
I mean,
well, they haven't gotten away with passing any laws currently. I really think it's an important thing to withhold, to keep our standards, you know, for safety reasons, but also to become an American citizen is an honor. And you can't just have people walk across, you know, the border and suddenly have voting rights. You know, I can't even open up a bank account without 3 pieces of ID.
Right.
So, or walk into my school without ID. And now you're saying people who have been unvetted are allowed to vote?
Right.
Jose Lopez can open up a
But you can't go into Starbucks in New York without ID and your passport. So, so make it make sense. Your vaccine passport.
Make it make sense.
Make it make sense. Yeah.
What?
Yes. 22 is when we've got to take the Senate back, and we have to do this through legislation, school boards, town councils, whatever.
Yeah, because we don't want a January 6th again.
Dude, Scott Presler out there, do you guys all know who Scott Presler is? He is the MVP of the GOP right now. That kid flips and registers more voters, and it's insane.
Yeah?
He's the hardest working guy out there.
I know of him. I don't know him real well.
Oh, man. Do you know Scott Presler, Ramona?
I don't. I think the name sounds familiar.
Oh, he's incredible. He just travels the country all by himself, speaks to parents and voters, and he just registers voters. And that's all he does all the time, from one side of the country to the other. And he's amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
See, we'll pull it together. It's coming together now. The awareness is amazing. We had on our local town page someone who posted something and said, you know, I'll never vote Democrat again. I've been a Democrat all my life, but I never will. So when you have Democrats turning and speaking these words, then you know the tide is turning.
Right.
And I really do believe that we're going to be fine in the end.
I found it uplifting a few minutes ago, and I think what you said gave me even more strength, a renewed strength and positivity when you said we've been here before.
Right.
That's right.
You know?
We have. And think about it. This is the first time in history where we've had such peace. I mean, we've had 60 years of peace, really. We haven't had to fight for our democracy. Prior to that, the world was at war all the time. I mean, just look at history. So we're spoiled. We're not used to this.
Right.
But we better, you know, get used to it and fight. And we'll overcome this.
Well, I think you're right. And I mean, you know, the way I want to do it is obviously not the way the way that I am. The nature of me, the way I want to do it,
it's not constructive.
Is not the way to do
it.
There's no two ways about it.
You just want to come in hot and loud and toxic.
Well, Ramona, for somebody that spends all of her day in the basement, you have a very good outlook on life.
Yeah, you do.
Yes, this has been a very uplifting
thanks,
and encouraging hour and a half with you. I appreciate you taking the time to come talk to us, and and share your view with those of the people that are checking in, and give us some real hope.
Thank you. I really have a lot of fun on this show, so thank you for having me.
Feel free to reach out and say, I want to, if you got something you want to, and listen, I put that Zoom link always works for every Thursday night. That Zoom link works. So all you have to do is dial in, and Todd will see you, and we'll let you in, and
keep us updated on everything.
Say what you want to say.
I will. Yes, I'll keep you updated. There's going to be other things coming up in the next couple of months with regards to I was just suspended for 5 days, so we'll talk more about that another.
You were suspended for 5 days?
Yes, they suspended me, but we don't know why.
So now you don't even have to go to the basement. You can stay home and work and research.
I can't wait. I want to go to Florida because I'm due for a vacation.
Come on.
And I'm thinking.
Yeah, come on. You can come on live.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll let you know.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you. And
Thank
we
you
will
very
talk
much.
to you. We'll talk to you soon. We'll keep in touch on Twitter, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks.
Bye.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Ramona. Cool. She was uplifting, right?
Yeah. What awesome. We need a billion more of her.
Yeah, we do. Well, the teachers need to speak up. The teachers got to speak up.
Yeah.
Todd.
Yes.
This is one of my favorite ones I wanted. Oh, first, let's play a couple. Let's play the Nashville Teacher.
Nashville Teacher.
I think that's what it says.
Okay.
Yep, Nashville Teacher.
Okay, yeah.
And then we're going to play New York City Mayor after that dipshit.
Okay.
Try to figure out what it looks like on their screen.
Did you hear it? Are you in the
No, I was looking at the feed.
If you go in the
You ready? Here we go.
Yep.
We are not anti-vax. Please get away from saying this negative connotation on us. We are pro-medical freedom. We are pro-medical choice. We are pro-American. That does not make me a conspiracy theorist, a domestic terrorist, anti-American. It doesn't make me any of that. Doesn't even make me a white supremacist. Please tell me where that shows up. Let me know when I turned 8 shades whiter. I didn't, but I'm labeled that. I miss my kids. I miss teaching them life and lessons of life and character building. I miss that. But that same energy that I have, the love that I have for them, is the same love I'm putting into this so that they have a country that's free. So that they have a place that they can raise their kids that's free. Or not.
That was it.
If it doesn't start to happen, we're not on the same page. I'm just saying.
You might be a communist.
I'm telling you, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then do you have the other one ready yet?
What was the other one?
The New York Mayor.
Oh, the New York Mayor.
And then the other side of the coin.
Oh, him.
This dipshit.
Oh my God.
Oh, what's the deal there? Oh, it's muted.
We need to really stop.
Hold on.
You know,
Here we go.
we need to really stop distorting the news.
Distorting the news.
You know, I'm gonna say this, and you know, I'm not saying it out of hate. I'm saying it out of love. I'm a black man. That's the mayor. But my story has been interpreted by people that don't look like me. We got to be honest about that. How many blacks are in the editorial boards? How many blacks are determining how these stories are being written? How many Asians? How many East Indians? How many South Asians? Everybody talks about my government being diversified. What's the diversification in the newsrooms? So everybody go back with their predispositions, and my role as mayor is being interpreted through the prisms of your realities and not mine. So when you write stories, you're not writing stories for people who was almost homeless like me. You're not writing stories for people who were arrested and beat by police officers. You're not writing stories from those who are dealing with high crime. You're writing from your prisons. And I'm not saying this to attack, but my administration is going to be about saying the obvious that other people are uncomfortable with saying. Discomfort is growth. So I say that to all your owners of your papers, your editorials, diversify your newsroom so I can look out and see people that look like me and dealing with high crime.
White people are the problem again.
Okay. I have so much to
The
say about
problems
this.
in New York City are not real. They are because they're perceived to be bad by white people.
Quit asking for equality when you separate yourself by color every freaking conversation. Do you want to be equal, or do you want to be a separate identity from everybody else?
Or do you want it segregated?
Every time that a black person speaks about, I'm a black person, you're a white person, we are different, you're creating a segregation. You don't think that white people have been homeless? You don't think that white people have been beat by the police?
Nope.
Are you kidding?
No.
Like, this is the hypocrisy that makes my blood boil. You are not oppressed or different than, you are the mayor of New York City. I don't want to hear shit about you being oppressed.
Have you heard the racist stuff that he said too?
Oh, about white people, the crackers?
Yeah, crackers
Absolutely,
and everything.
Yeah. That's okay though.
He did it in a rant, and like total sounds like he's from the streets and everything else the way he's saying it. And
he had a good excuse then. It was just
he was speaking to his brothers.
Oh, it was just a bad moment.
No. It's like I was just talking how we talk. He was
talking to a police force, right?
I forget what it was. I heard it. I didn't see it. So.
He said, "I kicked those crackers' ass."
Oh, was it police that he was speaking to? Yeah.
I kicked those crackers' ass.
But he was like, it was like, okay, that's great for our mayor.
Oh boy. Yeah. Scott, Kelly. Who else? Jody. What's up, baby? One of the loves of my life, Jody. Tina. David. Laura. A bunch of you checked in tonight. We appreciate you. Thanks for joining us here this week on Play Harder Radio. Just exposing a little bit of the lunacy that is the left. It's just mind-boggling. Teachers are just... it's a rough thing, too, to talk about... other teachers got to stand up. Because they're giving you all a bad name.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
They're giving you all a bad name. Tia, thank you.
Thank you.
Todd.
Thank you.
Muchas gracias, senor.
Thanks, Todd. Thanks, y'all.
Appreciate you guys. We'll see you next week. Play Harder Radio. Have a good night.